Hello everyone, this is Moncef Afkir, and thank you so much for joining me in this new episode of Being the Bridge podcast. And the subject today is self-talk, changing the way we communicate with ourselves. And this can be like a continuation of the previous episode about accepting our flaws. And because many times when in our spiritual journey, in our healing and awakening, along the way, the old patterns, the old traumas, conscious ones or unconscious ones, they come to the surface. And in those situations where we can realize how hard on ourselves we can be, especially if that was the patterns that we grew up in, whether we inherited from others, they treated us that way, we treated ourselves that way, and also like in the collective in general, there is that belief that we should fix ourselves, that we need to be hard on ourselves to become a better person. Take a deep breath. And what happens is that we start having very high expectations on ourselves. We can live with that, many can live with that, but at some point it becomes very tiring. Or really we don't feel that connection to our true self, to our heart. It's always like we have that kind of self-judgment that we are not enough. And this is what drives us to achieve more, to feel enough, to feel that we are worthy. Because also there is this kind of belief that by nature we are not worthy, and we need to work hard for us to become worthy of whatever we want to receive or the state of being we want to be in. But in that journey of awakening, of remembrance of who we truly are, what happens is that at some point we realize that there was nothing to prove that we are worthy. This is our nature. Just the way we are worthy of having the life that we want, experience the love that we want, the abundance, the health that we want. It's just the way we are by nature. It's perfect with all aspects of ourselves, those that we hide, that we feel ashamed of, and those that we show to others. And also like another aspect of that self-talk and self-communication where we find ourselves being hard on ourselves and having high expectations is especially when we have been on a long spiritual journey and we believe that we reached a level where we don't accept ourselves to have some kind of emotion, challenging emotions, or we don't accept that maybe an old pattern that we thought we released, when it shows up again, it feels like all the work that we did, it didn't help. It was just an effort that didn't do anything. And then what happens is that we start judging ourselves even more during those situations. It's like the more we go in our spiritual journey, our healing journey, the more our expectations on ourselves become higher. And that pattern of being hard on ourselves, if we don't let go of it, it's like it becomes more intense in that journey. So take a deep breath. And when we accept that this journey, it's not about becoming perfect, and And it's more about embracing the human experience, is bringing together our divine aspect, the spiritual aspect, the infinite self, which can express itself through the human aspects of ourselves with its limitations. And the more compassion, the more love we have toward ourselves, the more graceful and easier this becomes. And also remind yourself that you are doing the best you can, because this journey, it's not easy. This is why many, they just choose to close their hearts and not feel anything, because staying in those emotions, those old patterns, those traumas can be very challenging. And I talked about that before in several episodes, where how you can approach those by holding the space for yourself to feel those emotions, allow them to transmute without becoming identified by them. But also sometimes when it's very intense, we can ask for help. We can ask someone who is able to hold the space for us, who can connect with us from a neutral space, can really be helpful as well. And also, I talked about having high expectations. Also, when we, for example, we approach something, we try to transmute some energy. Sometimes we have expectations that it should happen right away, or it should happen fast. And if it doesn't, then we think there is something wrong with us, or maybe we are not accepted. And some things like that comes from limiting beliefs, like lack of self-worth. And another thing to be aware of is when we are in those states where we judge ourselves, especially when old patterns happen, we take some action, we do something that we feel ashamed of or not happy with. Because of the lack of self-worth, the harsh self-judgment, we feel disconnected from like spirits, the spirit beings that we are connected to, our guides. It's not that the support is not there for us anymore. It's not that, it doesn't mean that we are being rejected or not being accepted. It's just the intensity of that self-judgment that we have toward ourselves. We reflect that into others, whether humans or physical beings or spiritual beings, and we think that we are being rejected, but it's more just that self-judgment that we have about ourselves. But you just need to remember that you are always loved, always supported, and accepted as you are, especially in those moments that we forget that. And returning back to the subject self-talk and changing how we communicate with ourselves, we can start this like slowly, step by step, because especially if throughout all our in the past in our life we've been hard on ourselves, changing that way of communication can be more like a practice, can take little more time. So it's in our meditation, in our practice, if you can do that daily, create some space where you connect to your inner child, just to communicate with them, express your love for them, express that you are taking this journey with them, they are not alone anymore, express that you love them the way they are. It's doing that regularly can really build that new relationship with yourselves. It's not about resisting the previous momentum that we created, the previous timeline that we created. It's more about creating the new one. And and then directing our focus toward that. And the more we have love toward ourselves, the more the old timeline start to dissolve little by little and with time. So so that was the message for today. I hope it serves you, and I would love to hear your feedback. You can type it on the comments section on YouTube, and if the message resonates with you, I invite you to like the video, to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you are listening there. So so with that, I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.